Hello and welcome to a new episode of Europeans Watching American Racing. We have a lot of stuff to talk about after this incredible weekend at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. My name is André Wiegold and with me Luca Guiglia from Italy. Hi Gian.
Hello everyone and welcome to Europeans Watching American Racing. Dance episode this time.
Man, I have the good thing that I can restart a show when I do a mistake, but after me, your little mistake with Americans watching European racing will stay in the show.
yeah. It's gonna stay, man. It's a little lapsus. But, they are actually watching European racing, right?
Yeah.
Why not? Let's keep it.
Let's go on. Let's go on with the NASCAR weekend at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And I think we start on Friday, move to Saturday, and then to Sunday. So first of all, we have the race of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. I think we can go from stage to stage, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. It was a pretty exciting racing truck series race. Do you have the results of the single stages?
Yes, I have. But let's start with the first stage. We have Blaine Perkins around lap 20 with a spin. And then we had on lap 28 a restart crash with Colby Howard. We had a 5-wide situation at Las Vegas. Zane Smith was touching the 91 car of Howard. Then Chase Purdy was also collected by the 91. And Hailie Deegan touched the car, but she got through with a little bit of a scratch on her car. And after that, the stage ended with Ben Rhodes winning ahead of Chandler Smith, Tanner Gray, Jack Wood, and Carson Hocevar. Anything else to add on stage one from your side?
No, nothing special. It was just frantic action. perfectly truck series style. Lots of action between Kyle Busch Motorsport and Torsport, but we'll go back to that later for the later stages.
Yeah, in stage two, we had a spin by Todd Bodine without any contact with another driver. It was just losing control of the car. And in the end, Ben Rhodes won ahead of Kyle Busch, Ty Majeski, John Hunter Nemechek, and Tanner Gray. And then we had stage number 3, and this was also a chaotic stage. Another spin by Todd Bodine, and with 38 to go, Hocevar got loose, and he went into the grass, and there was a push by Ryan Preece and stuff like this happening. 32 laps to go, we had Ty Majeski pushing his teammate Ben Rhodes into the wall.
Ouch.
Yes.
If you were wondering where Ben Rhodes went after. Wow.
The great trucks, they offered us a lot of action, because on lap 127, Christian Eckers was not clear. He moved into the front of Kyle Busch. They touched and he spun.
Yeah. It again, when you Waltrip said Michael Waltrip said it well. When you block, you take responsibility for what's happening next.
Yeah, you saw it with the one perspective with the camera on the straight. You saw 100% Christian Eckers not clear moving into the line of Kyle Busch, so no blame there for Kyle Busch. But I think blaming other drivers, we come to that later in the topic of Kyle Busch.
Yes.
So in the end, we had a very nice drag race to the checkered flag with Chandler Smith overtaking Kyle Busch and Zane Smith. And Chandler Smith won the race ahead of Kyle Busch, Stuart Friesen, Ryan Preece, Tanner Gray. And it was his third career win. But it was Zane Smith to cross the finish line in second, but he got disqualified because of an infringement regarding the lug nuts.
Yeah, I follow the thing on Twitter thanks to Bozi Tatarevich, and the rule is citing lug nuts conformity.
Yeah.
Clear disqualification, immediate one. The race, the finish was really nice. And remember, when we talk about Chandler Smith, we talk about a 19-year-old guy from Talking Rock, Georgia. Impressive stuff.
Yeah, and due to the disqualification of Zane Smith, a guy we know very well got into the top 20. Lois Hasemans racing the Rion Brothers Racing 33 car. He ended up 20th in his NASCAR Camping World Truck Series debut.
Yeah, he said he had some issues in practice, and he posted very few laps
Yeah.
in it. So it's even more interesting as a race for him. Really solid, stayed out of trouble, even sometimes even by the smallest margin
Yeah.
out of trouble. There's a picture of him avoiding a crash. Woo!
Uh,
By just,
yep.
but it was really good. 20th in the end is what he needed. Experience on an intermediate track.
Maybe you ask why we are talking about a guy finishing 20th. This is the two-time Euro NASCAR champion Loris Heesmans from the Netherlands, and he's racing in the NASCAR Truck Series and the NASCAR Xfinity Series to gain his licenses for the Cup Series, where his father, Twan Hesemans, has his own team with Team Hazeberg. So Loris Hesemans is still climbing up the ladder in the NASCAR circus in the United States of America. But in Europe, he won the championship twice, so that's why we keep an eye on that guy. He's only 24 years old, so this may be one of the first European guys really, to leave a mark in US NASCAR racing, because I think he has the potential.
And he's also figuring in the entry list for this weekend in NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Phoenix. It will be the first time for him at a track he already raced.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be important for him to show some improvement. Anyways, definitely he's representing Europe, and he's the only European driver in the Truck Series field and in the Xfinity Series field. There are several others who raced in Europe in the past, but we're gonna talk about them as well.
Can we move to the Xfinity Series?
Yeah, definitely. Wait, I just have one thing remarkable from the Truck Series. Um, Tanner Gray. Tanner Gray is currently very well placed in the standings, second, and he's a typical case of crossover driver. Tanner Gray comes from NHRA pro stock category, so he's 22 years old. His father was racing, and his grandfather were racing all racing dragsters in NHRA. He won the pro stock championship in 2018 and then switched to stock cars. That's a very interesting move with uh, very few other examples, and I have to research about that because I'm not sure. Very few other examples, but he's very strong after a couple of years of experience in the ARCA series.
I can really hear the European race fan joke there. Oh, so he switched from 0 turns to 4?
Yeah, exactly. And only left. But hey, that's a very interesting crossover.
Yeah.
Really rare.
Okay, Xfinity Series. We had a delay due to dust devils. I really like that phrase. Winds and freezing rain, or we call it snow. I had it once a few years ago. There was a delay at Martinsville, and in the German television, when I was commentating the race and it was delayed due to snow, I got the name Arctic André. So we had in Las Vegas dust devils, winds, freezing rain, snow, stuff like that, and that's why the Xfinity race was delayed a little bit. Yeah, but then we got the green flag, and we had a lot of stuff going on at that 1.5 mile track. Caution number 1, Ryan Sieg, after a contact with the 54 of Ty Gibbs. That resulted in a payback move on lap 30. The 39 hit the 54, but in the end it was Ryan Sieg to spin around and collecting Brad Moffitt, Sheldon Creed. And
Can you really call it payback when it doesn't work?
it was an attempt.
A very bad attempt. Oh man.
Yeah, this is. And to be honest, there was a contact before with Ryan Sieg and Ty Gibbs, but I saw better things where payback was okay, but this one was a little bit too much, I think.
And it's a real shame, mostly for Moffitt and Sheldon Creed. And that's why they always tell you to time well your payback.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Choose your moment. Ah.
Wait for a short track.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That 170 miles per hour is not a good idea.
Or ask Matt Kenseth how to do it.
Yeah.
He was in the commentary booth, by the way, at Fontana. This time we had Danica Patrick there. So even that was very interesting. But we come to the Cup Series a little bit later. So
Yep.
Stage 1, this is German. Stage 1 ended up with Noah Gragson winning it ahead of Sam Mayer, Josh Berry, Ty Gibbs, and Ryan Truex.
Very good job by Noah Gregson, by the way. The guy is incredibly talented. I had the chance to meet him in Charlotte a few years ago when he was really young and at the beginning of his NASCAR career. He was racing in the Truck Series, and he's maturing. He's really this year especially. I see him determined and in very good shape. Well, luck is another thing, but but he's on a good path, I think. And Sam Mayer, man,
Yeah,
Sam Mayer, how good is this kid?
amazing. Yeah. But this was only stage number 1. We had a big
Yes.
crash on lap 85 with Matt Mills hitting the inside wall very hard after 2 contacts on the racetrack. And yeah, this was the only incident in stage 2. We had Noah Gragson winning stage 2 ahead of Ty Gibbs, Sam Mayer, Austin Hill, and Daniel Hemrick. These are the top 5 of that second stage. Afterwards, on lap 173, we had Ryan Vargas, Jesse Iwuji, and Stephen Parsons. I don't know how to. Is it Stephen Parsons?
Stephen Parsons, I
Yeah.
think. Yes.
They also hit the wall. They crashed because Iwuji spun in front of them. And on lap 183, Mayer and Brandon Jones, we had the contact there. Another caution that led to a late restart. On lap 190, we had Ryan Truex, who sended Austin Hill into the wall by
Ah,
getting loose. Yeah, it was just a typical racing incident. And in the end, it was the guy who was in focus in the very beginning, Ty Gibbs, winning ahead of Noah Gragson, Daniel Hemrick, Josh Berry, and Justin Allgaier, the top 5 of the Las Vegas race. So Ty Gibbs, part-time last year, race-winning driver, grandson of Joe Gibbs. Wow.
yes. He's he will be in the Cup Series contending for wins very soon. The guy, of course, is in top-notch equipment, but when we've seen it in the past with drivers going to race for Gibbs or for Kyle Busch Motorsports in the Truck Series, having top-notch equipment doesn't automatically translate into race wins.
Yeah.
Ty Gibbs, he has the it factor. He's just that good and that focused and that determined, and he always makes the right move and he uses his brain very well.
Yeah, totally agree. This guy has so much talent, but also the skills to judge, to make the right decisions, and to be there when you have to be there. He has a very good timing. He has 100% confidence in his car. You see it how he drives it. It was not easy to keep those cars in the Truck Series, in the Xfinity Series, and also in the Cup Series on track at Las Vegas. Something I've not seen so often on a 1.5 mile track, that the drivers had really to work that hard, like on that weekend. And Ty Gibbs, yeah, he's mastering it with his young age, but with his talent, he's going to be one of those guys we have to really look for in the future, because I think when he's going to step up into the NASCAR Cup Series, he's going to be one of those guys winning right when he steps up.
If you want to bet on who's the main candidate to replace Danny Hamlin when and if Danny Hamlin stops, well, you have your name.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
I'm also really heartbroken, man, for Sam Mayer. He was having a great race,
Yeah.
and boom, it all went kaboom for, well, not his fault.
Yeah.
And also Austin Hill, but they all have all have plenty of time to adjust. At the moment, the point standings are taking shape. Noah Gregson is leading. Noah Gregson is leading with ahead of Ty Gibbs. Of course, wins as always in NASCAR. Wins give you a place in the playoffs. So Ty Gibbs and Austin Hill, they both have a place secured in the playoffs. But Noah Gregson is leading ahead of Ty Gibbs, AJ Allmendinger, Justin Allgaier, Josh Berry, the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Uh, there's plenty of time to make up for it. I'm also keeping an eye on Myatt Snyder, our friend who raced in the NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series, and he didn't have the best start of the season. He's now 23rd in points, 102 points behind the leader. So needs some more work there, some improvements.
Yeah, but I think recovering from a crash like Daytona is also not easy
Yeah.
for your mind. So yeah, we have to wait a little bit. And in the end, you said it, one win grants you a spot in the playoffs. So when he finds the pace a little bit later, he's still in contention. So this is not the big problem with the format we have right now in the NASCAR series.
Yeah, definitely. No, not a problem. We didn't mention the Truck Series standings earlier, but they are very tight. So
Yep.
Chandler Smith is leading, Tanner Gray, Ty Majeski, Ben Rhodes, Stuart Friesen, Matti Benedetto. It's just the start of the season. This is why we don't focus as much on the standings.
Yeah, we will take a look when we have the playoff bubbles and stuff like that, and
Yes.
several race winners, multiple race winners and stuff like that. At the moment, it's going race to race and take a look who's winning, who's granting the early spots, the early tickets for the playoffs, and then we have to take a look how the season develops. Do we have a lot of different winners, or do we have people dominating? And then it's going to be interesting how the points will affect the playoff grid, or if it's only about wins. We have to wait and see there. The NASCAR Cup Series race on Sunday. No weather problems, but problems for Kyle Busch, who was in the backup car, starting at the back due to a crash in free practice. He was qualified for 12th place, but Kyle Busch needed to go way to the rear of the field and starting there. And then I've heard something in the introduction, presenting the nation colors, and they say, rise if you're able. And I think this was the first time somebody said it like this, right?
Yeah, I think so. I never noticed it before, so I guess it's the first time. And it's really important for American culture to honor the flag and the national colors, and that's a very important touch in their procedure.
This shows you only need 3 or 4 words sometimes to include so many people.
Yeah.
And it does not hurt anyone.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes and it shows that you are caring for them.
Yeah.
That's very good. I have one thing about Kyle Busch, man.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear his comment about the backup car? I saw a video published by Bob Pockrass.
the Walmart car.
Yeah, exactly. Kyle Busch being Kyle Busch. Yeah. What are your thoughts about being on a backup car? Was that good enough as the other two? Kyle Busch just replied in a perfectly Kyle Busch style. Cars are all the same. They are both at Walmart.
Yeah. Man, you can love him, you can hate him, but you would miss him if he's not there.
Yeah, and in the end, he said it's not really a negative thing, man, because they had one backup car that would have served for multiple drivers. So the car didn't have paint on it. They had to change parts to suit them better for Kyle Busch and stuff. But it was done in how long? 7-8 hours of work, and it was done.
Yeah,
and it was perfectly fine. And Kyle Busch would have won this race.
Oh, spoiler alert!
Yes.
No, you have seen the race. I think when you are watching this episode. So this is why we try to give you some background information. Let's start with the race. Green flag, and on lap 38 we start with the caution festival. Cole Custer spun, and Danica Patrick and Clint Boyer in the commentary booth of Fox Sports, they thought it would be a low air pressure problem when he went out of the pit box. The pressure in the tire was still low, and this is why he spun. And Cole Custer said on the radio that he was trying to find the limit of the car, and he went over it. And this is something, even bad for that guy, but in general, this is something I really
Good
like
for
to
us.
hear, because
Yes.
we saw it. We saw it. Have you seen the onboards of every driver we saw? They were fighting. They were wrestling those cars.
Yeah, absolutely. The cars are snappy, difficult to drive. It makes for more cautions, for sure. But of course, makes also for more opportunities, more restarts, and a better role for the driver. Of course, once again, it's my turn to temper a little bit expectations. They will adapt. They will be better. There will be less cautions. But we come from a couple of years in which we had cautions just for the stage breaks at a lot of tracks.
And before that, we had cautions because a Coca-Cola can rolled over the track. Debris caution.
Debris. No.
There's something there. Hot dog wrap.
This is what, as a racing fan, this is what I want to see. I want them to look difficult.
Yeah,
and they are. So more than happy. What did you notice that they actually moved better after punctures and flat tires?
I don't think they changed something. But to me, there was nothing communicated, or?
No, nothing. You know what could be? It could be a difference in the setup they use.
Yeah, maybe.
Because of the track is not as fast as Daytona, not as fast as Auto Club.
Yep.
I'm not sure. I don't want to say wrong stuff, but they moved.
Yep.
And that's very good.
On the same caution, we saw, you said something about difficulties. Kyle Larson, loose lug nut, 2 stops. So the champion went way back down the field, but then he got enough chances to go back to the front, because on lap 43 we had Kyle Busch with a half spin, Justin Haley and Austin Dillon, not really spinning, but sliding around the track. Next caution. And then we have a very interesting story on lap 51. We were tweeting about that on our social media channel. Trackhouse and Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing teaming up to do what, Gian? To do what? Do you remember? Parking lot?
Oh, yes, the parking lot thing. To turn off an alarm, a car alarm that was going off in the parking lot and disturbing pretty much a lot of people.
It was a civil car.
Crazy.
It was a civil car. Let's call it like that. And they didn't find the owner, so they opened the hood and they searched for a way to turn off the electrics, I think.
And they unplugged something, and hey, it's done.
So Trackhouse and RFK teaming up to work on a car in a parking lot. Amazing.
Amazing. Yes. Yeah, but for the fans around there, they definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah. Just a few laps later, 64, Tyler Reddick spun in turn 4, and we heard Denny Hamlin complaining about the power steering. He had issues there. And we had Martin Truex Jr. to the rear because equipment interference. So there was a tire rolling into another pit stall, and that's 100% a penalty there. It was the pit stall of Chris Buescher that was affected by that rolling tire of Martin Truex Jr. And then we had the end of that stage. Alex Bowman winning ahead of William Byron. Ross Chastain, I think we come to that guy later. Denny Hamlin without power steering, and Chase Elliott. And then we saw something between Chase Briscoe and Kyle Busch. You remember?
What happened?
Chase Briscoe did on a restart a little block on Kyle Busch. So Kyle Busch went to the car of Chase Briscoe, touching it a little bit and saying, "Man, don't do that again." So
yes,
Kyle Busch doing Kyle Busch stuff.
Again, Yeah, this is why my mind doesn't remember it, because it's Kyle Busch doing Kyle Busch stuff.
At least it
But
was not the Ron Hornaday stuff he did to Chase Briscoe. When you remember back in the Truck Series
yeah,
days.
that I remember. That I remember, and it costed him pretty much a lot. But man, when you talk about stage 2, we have to talk about Trackhouse more.
Yeah. But first of all, we have the problem with Trackhouse lap 92. Daniel Suarez in the wall. He was the victim of a contact between Eric Jones, Chase Briscoe, and Michael McDowell. And yeah, we saw Suarez retiring, and Chase Briscoe, he said that the steering was a little bit off. So yeah, damage to those cars, and we had Daniel Suarez retiring the race.
And it's a shame for Daniel Suarez, who was really strong in Fontana
Yep.
last week. But he will be back. Huh? He's really positive. I really like his positive attitude, and they will be back swinging for sure.
Someday we need to ask him to join our show, because I think when we add his accent, the Mexican accent here
Yes.
too, it would be amazing.
And he kind of has our point of view, the point of view of a foreign
Yep.
foreign driver joining Cup Series full time, and he had coming from the Mexico Series, he had a hard time, especially learning how to communicate with his team, and we need to invite Daniel for sure.
Yeah. And then lap 103, just to have all the incidents summed up. I made a little bit of a poem for that. Roses are red, violets are blue. Keselowski is crashing. That's unfortunately true. Again.
Yeah.
Again and again. What's going on with Brad Keselowski?
Just a bad start of the season. He took a lot on his shoulders. He moved to Rush Fenwick Keselowski Racing to become a part owner, and he has a lot on his plate. And I think a new car and everything is just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time, and he will be back to being the usual Brad Keselowski, competing at the front. Right now, plenty of mistakes.
Yes, I think he has 4 spins in 3 races now.
Bad streak.
Yeah, and he collected Ryan Blaney. While Brad Keselowski was able to continue, Blaney had to stop. On lap 134, we had Eric Almirola pushing Austin Cindric. That caused a spin of the 2 car. And we had Chase Briscoe and Harrison Burton also involved in that accident. This is not the last one. We have still plenty of stuff to talk about, because on lap 142, Christopher Bell got loose. The 21 spun 2. We had no damage there, but we saw that Christopher Bell was able to move back to the pit box despite having a flat tire, but he was bouncing like a rabbit or hopping like a rabbit.
Yes. But it also proves that the car is strong. We had several cars involved, again, as in Fontana, several cars involved in contacts that could recover. Some hit the wall, some had contacts with other cars. There are 2 positives. First, if they get in contact with each other fighting for position, it means they are side by side or very close to each other, and that's not a given.
Yeah.
And second, the car takes a lot of damage, takes a lot of energy, but survives well.
And we saw some spins without any contact between the cars. So we definitely see that this car is hard to drive.
Yeah, definitely. We also saw a big mistake by Danny Hamlin.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, do you is it the next caution, or is it here somewhere?
No, it's in stage
later?
It's in stage 3. Yes, I have it on
Yes.
my list here. But first of all, we have to talk about the first ever stage win of Trackhouse after buying Chip Ganassi Racing, with Ross Chastain beating Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, William Byron, and Kyle Busch, who came from the back to the top 5 at the end of stage 2. And we had a lot of Hendrick cars at the front, but Ross Chastain, he won it. And he was a guy capable of winning the race. It's Daniel Suarez pretty fast in the 99 car. Now Ross Chastain in the 1 car. Trackhouse is there. They made the right choice buying Chip Ganassi. And I think they, with the determination and the passion of Justin Marks and the little bit of the money of maybe Pitbull and the marketing opportunities there, they can really develop into a top team in NASCAR Series, in the NASCAR Cup Series.
Yeah, they can make wonders.
Yeah.
What you see, of course, compared to Fontana, I noticed, I don't know if you agree, but I noticed the more of the usual suspects at the front.
Yeah.
It's more Penske, Hendrick, less surprises, but of course it's an intermediate track. It's the top teams will get better, but you can do it. This car, as Danica Patrick and Clint Boyer were noticing, as a tight comfort zone, and when you're in there, you're really off for the races. You can pass, you can move through the field. We saw plenty of drivers coming from the back, comers and goers, and when you find the comfort zone of the car, you can really work on it. And Chastain, big thumbs up.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good run. He also managed to stay out of trouble. That was not easy in those first 2 stages because we had so many stuff going on. And yeah, it looked good, but that was I was expecting that on a 1.5 mile track that we have the usual suspects back,
of course,
at the front. But I think the corridor and the margin between the top teams and the midfield teams is getting tighter and tighter.
And spoiler alert, you can work on strategy. You'll see it at the end. and that thing to start stage 3 between Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch was a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
A thing of beauty. Several laps, side by side. Congrats. This is a very Italian gesture.
You see it on YouTube, on the podcast. Just imagine an Italian using his hands.
Yeah, as always. But it was a thing of beauty. Do you agree?
Yes, definitely. It was perfect. Just perfect.
Yeah.
Let's go into the final stage, and I think we had the first real green flag run of the race. Until lap 221, and we had a problem with the gearbox of Denny Hamlin, who shifted wrong with the sequential gearbox. Okay, no, I'm not a race car driver, but in my career as a journalist and commentator, I was allowed to drive some cars. I was at a short track in the Netherlands, 0.5 miles short track banking like Bristol. Let's say it like that, Raceway Van Ray. And I was racing or trying out a late model with a H-pattern gearbox, and it was quite tough to find the gears. It's not like a road car. But afterwards, they gave me a BRL car, a V6 car with a sequential gearbox, same as now in NASCAR. You still have the clutch, and you have the sequential gear stick to your right. As an amateur, without the muscle memory of Denny Hamlin, it was way easier to handle a race car with a sequential gearbox, because when you pull it, it shifts up. When you push it, it shifts down. It's easy. It's quite easy. You cannot do something wrong. But if you have the muscle memory to go from first to second down, then you want to go to third, and you push it. You push it, and it goes back to first gear. Ooh,
and
crap.
Destroy everything.
Yeah.
But you said it well. Muscle memory. Remember, Denny Hamlin. Jokes aside, somebody said that it was his 10,000 race. There was a running meme on that. But jokes aside, he has years and years of a career shifting with an H pattern. In the heat of the moment, he just moved the lever forward instead of backwards. Kaboom.
Yeah.
Oh, ouch. Well, I always complain that removing about the sequential gearbox, I always say that there are less opportunities to see mistakes and there are less opportunity to pass, blah, 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 blah. But man, that was a mistake. Opportunities.
Can we do a short trip to another continent? Have you seen the season opener of the supercars in Australia?
I read about it. I'm still watching the race. Don't spoiler.
Okay,
spoiler.
I,
You feel
wa-
free.
I watched the highlights, and the only
Mhm.
spoiler I will give is um you have a sequential gearbox stick
Mhm.
solution. Plenty of overtaking. Plenty of overtaking. That's it. That's it.
Yes,
I will not. I not
especially
spoiler. I will not spoil it.
especially with the weather conditions in race 2.
Yeah.
Go watch it if you can. But hey man, they ditched the pedal shift for the next gen car in supercars, so there is a debate on that.
Okay, let's go back to NASCAR.
Back to
And I
NASCAR.
think
Yes.
the last thing I do is the overtime due to a crash of Eric Jones. And it was a close call for Bubba Wallace as well. He dodged
Just
the
missed
car
it.
of Eric Jones. And then strategy came into play. John, the stage is yours.
Yes. First, Kyle Busch was came from the very back of the field, was leading the race, and they had a fantastic battle with Martin Truex Jr. You could really see them moving around, and that's something you didn't see with the previous car as much as this. They were really You could really see them search around, low, high, back, forward, trying to find the best grip and trying to find the best air for the car. Caution out, boom, everything goes kabonks, throw away everything. The Hendrick cars, three of them, so William Byron, Kyle Larson, and Alex Bowman, they change only 2 tires. And by the way, I think they all put on scuffs, so no sticker tires, no new tires for them, because they spent all their sets during the race.
Sorry to interrupt you there,
Yep.
but I had a nice article. I wrote a nice article on motorsport.com in the German edition about Kamui Kobayashi coming to the
Mhm.
US with, I think, a more European English background.
Yes.
And he was asking, what the hell are scuff tires?
Yes. So scuff tires are tires who already went on the car and went through an heat cycle. So they basically used tires. NASCAR mandates a fixed allotment of tires for each race. In the Cup Series this time, they were, I think, 8 set of
8. Yeah.
tires. 8. So when you always want sticker tires or new tires when you need them, you risk to finish your tires and not having them at the end. That's what happened. But the André guys, they changed 2 tires. I read an article on Racing America by Matt Weaver, I think, and he said that was not intentional. He interviewed the crew chiefs, and it was not intentional. They found themselves out front. The first 3 cars were André cars and Kyle Busch, and of course they stayed side by side from the restart. They stayed side by side for 1.5 laps. Then Alex Bowman prevailed, but there was absolutely no time for Kyle Busch to make up for the positions he lost in the pit lane, and he was not happy, man.
He was
T-shirt.
not happy.
Let's make a T-shirt about it. What did he? Yeah, I can understand his position, but man, what's your opinion on that?
Strategy call. Do the right
Yes.
thing, do the right call, you win the race. Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, they did what they had to do to get a chance of winning. And in the end, it was Alex Bowman winning the race with 2 tires at the final pit stop. And of course, you always, it's a rule in NASCAR. Do the exact opposite of what the leading guy is doing.
Exactly.
You have
Leader
to
is
try
pitting,
it. Yep.
you don't. Leader takes 4, you take 2.
Yeah, or no, none. Whatever you want to
Exactly.
try. And in the end, Alex Bowman won ahead of Kyle Larson. Ross Chastain, 3rd place.
Yoo-hoo!
Very good, but I would have loved to seen the watermelon squashed at Las Vegas.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
The watermelon
Absolutely.
man, 3rd ahead of Kyle Busch, William Byron. So we have 3 Hendrick Motorsports cars in the top 5. Eric Almirola, Best Stewart Haas Racing, 4th. Tyler Reddick in 7th, also a solid result for him. Martin Truex Jr. in 8th. Chase Elliott in 9th. And Christopher Bell, at least in the end after some problems in the race, 10th. Kurt Busch, 23XI Racing 13th. And then we have to take a look where's the best Penske car. It's Joey Logano in 14th. And yeah, I think that's it. I think Eric Jones would have collected another good result without the crash in the end. The Petty GMS Motorsports Chevrolets are quite fast as well. So, yeah, I think we have so many teams right now, with Richard Childress being in the top 10 on a regular base. Joe Gibbs, of course, Hendrick, now Trackhouse, Penske, 23XI Racing, a little bit disappointing in the first 3 races, in my opinion. Stuart Haas Racing, difficult. Eric Almirola being the best guy, I think, in all races now.
Yeah, that says a lot. And Hendrick is on the way out from the Cup Series.
No offense against Eric Almirola. He's a fast and great guy, but he's still competing.
Kevin Harvick to be there.
He's still competing with Kevin Harvick. So
yes. We love Eric Almirola, but you expect Kevin Harvick to be out front.
Yeah.
The other 2 guys, they're young, they're learning. Okay, sure. But you expect Kevin Harvick to be the best car there.
Yeah.
And he has been for many years.
So what I see is, of course, the top teams are there. They dominate the game, but there's plenty of room for smaller teams to have an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Alex Bowman, it was the 7th win of his career, the first of the season, the first at Las Vegas. I don't want to give you the exact quote from Kyle Busch. You can look up for it. But he implied that Alex Bowman always win by luck. Well, that's not true.
Even if he's right, to win, you have to finish in first place. And Alex Bowman did it. So you can complain about that, but a late restart and overtime is nothing new to a NASCAR driver. And strategy games, in that case, in this situation, is nothing new.
Yeah, and having Kyle Larson on the outside for the most part of the green-white checker definitely helped Alex Bowman, because there was simply no room for a third driver to interfere. But he legitimately won.
Yep.
That's it. He did the best. He was the best in that circumstance. And that's it. He won it. And congrats.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at the overall standings after 3 races of 36. Kyle Larson is leading the overall classification ahead of Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, and Austin Cindric, who has already a win. Kyle Busch in 5th ahead of Eric Almirola, Chase Elliott, and Alex Bowman, the 3rd winner. Kyle Larson won at Fontana, the leader of the championship. And we have Bubba Wallace. I said 20XI Racing, a little bit disappointing, but the 2nd place at Daytona for Bubba Wallace, it lifts him a little bit up in the standings. But 19th at Fontana, 25th at Las Vegas. They need to find the pace on those ovals. And we have Austin Dillon rounding up the top 10. So
3 drivers with 3 different drivers with a win, with the place in the playoffs already. Kyle Larson, Austin Cindric, and Alex Bowman. There's, as we said for the other 2 championships, it's just the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
there's plenty of time to work. We want to give you. We say it because it's interesting anyway. Kevin Harvick is in P16 at the moment.
Yeah, on the bubble.
Yeah, exactly. Already.
No, the next stop is Phoenix next week. Let me take a look. We have
for the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series Xfinity.
Yes, the Xfinity Series on Saturday evening, German time, 10:30 in the evening, and the Cup Series race on Sunday is at 8:30 in the evening, German time. Please add or remove hours from your time zone.
Yeah, and it's the last stop of the Western Swing. After Phoenix, we're going back to the East Coast.
Yeah.
Phoenix will be very interesting because once again, Phoenix we lost the final in November, so it's going to be a good opportunity for everyone to collect data, a lot of data. So I think, do you have anything else on the Cup Series?
Let me see. What I really think like is at the moment that we have this track order: 2.5, 2 miles, 1.5, and now 1 mile. It would have been
Yeah.
perfect to have a short track coming after Phoenix, but then we will go to Atlanta with the engine and aerodynamic package of a super speedway car. This is
So
going to
that
be
is
very
good.
interesting.
Yes, and that's not gonna count again to understand who will be really strong during the season. This
But
is a first for everyone.
yeah, but we're going to talk about that later when we are in the week before Atlanta.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I think we're done with NASCAR, or do you have any topic?
No, nothing else on my side.
So I think regarding IndyCar, IMSA and NHRA, we can all sum it up because we have some stuff there, but not that much because there was no racing that weekend. Let's start with IndyCar. There's a big breaking news due to the
Yep.
global supply issues. The 2.4 twin turbo V8 V6 engines, and sorry for that, and the hybrid units were delayed from 2023 to 2024. So we will still use the 2.2 liter engines in the IndyCar Series next year. Honda and Chevrolet already confirmed that they will supply the teams with the old engine, and the new one with the hybrid unit made by the German manufacturer Mahle will be introduced into IndyCar in 2024.
That's unfortunate, but probably the right decision.
Yeah.
Make sure you can sustain a full season before switching.
And I
And
think,
it's an effort for the
yeah,
manufacturers as well to keep producing the old engines. And now is the time to decide it. You can't wait further.
yeah. I got that information from motorsport.com, and I think there are some stakeholders pushing to have new engine and new car in the same year now, right?
Yeah, the DW12, the Lara chassis they use now is quite near the end of its life cycle.
Yeah.
Some would say that it's well past. They revived it many times, but the chassis is doing a perfect job, and now with the aero screen, and it's working great. It makes sense. It makes sense to me to introduce a new chassis and a new engine together,
Yeah.
make it completely new, exactly the same as Formula One and NASCAR.
I really am looking forward to see how the aero screen will be integrated in a new car. But at the moment, they are put on an old car without the intention to have a cockpit security system. Let's call it like this. The next one is going to have the aero screen more integrated, I think.
Yeah, and it would look great for sure. The aero screen, I think, is one of the biggest innovation safety wise brought forward by IndyCar, and it's really working great. Integration will be definitely better, as we saw as well for Formula One with the Halo.
Yeah.
The more you look at it, the more it looks familiar, and you can't imagine a car without it.
Yeah, this is the point. I think we already said it on that show.
Yeah.
Take a look at a Formula car from 10 years ago. It looks strange now because you're used to see it with the halo.
Yeah, and there was some discussion I read about regarding the aero screen because it changed the weight distribution of the car, and they pretty much compensated for it. So it's just natural. But I really look forward to a new chassis and a new engine, and potentially new manufacturers joining the IndyCar.
Yeah. We also had a oval rookie test on the Texas Motor Speedway in IndyCar. Kyle Kirkwood leading the timetable ahead of Callum Ilott, Romain Grosjean, David Malukas, Devlin DeFrancesco, and Christian Lundgaard, the Danish driver, the slowest on the oval in the rookie test. This is going to be also our next race. And it is a race that is having the clash with the Sebring round of the IMSA series. I think we can go to IMSA right now, or?
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. But just a question: did they were they scheduled to have a test for non-rookies as well at Texas? I
Wha-
think so, and they suspended it due to weather. I will look for it.
Yeah. I think so. Yes. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go to IMSA. We
Yes.
have WeatherTech confirming that it will come not only with the Porsche but also with the Mercedes at Sebring. And Cooper McNeil, this is interesting, is going to drive both cars.
Whoa. How is he gonna do it?
Yeah,
Plenty of seat time.
plenty of seat times. This I have other news on endurance racing. I have from Sports Car 365, a very nice site there. I think our main sources in general are motorsport.com, racer.com, and Sports Car 365, and of course other stuff. If they have something exclusively and stuff like that, we also always mention the source. And from the same platform, Andretti in talks with Alpine to run the LMDH program. Very interesting. And we know that Michael Andretti also applied for being a Formula One team. So what the hell is going on? Andretti, IndyCar, Extreme E, maybe LMDH, maybe Formula One. What the hell?
They are building a giant operation. Well, the Formula One deal, it needs approvals, it needs a huge chunk of money.
Yeah.
Huge, really huge. But that's and already someone I don't remember which team from Formula One they said, yep, if you want to take over, we're available to help you. So there's an interesting movement. I really look forward to see Michael Andretti back in Europe for the first time since 1993. That's possible. He was driving McLaren back in the day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, and then we already mentioned the clash between IndyCar and Sebring that forces Helio Castroneves to make a decision. He opted for the IndyCar with Meyer-Shank Racing, and Meyer-Shank Racing needed a replacement for him for Sebring. So the former Formula One driver Stoffel van Dorn is going to drive the Meyer-Shank Racing car at Sebring, but he says that's currently a one-off thing. He told Sports Car 365. So that's my stuff on IMSA. No. I have some more driver confirmations. LMP3 Performance Tech Motorsports confirmed Rasmus Lind and Dan Goldberg in the LMP3. We have Rizzi Ferrari in the GTD Pro. With Davide
Yep.
Rigon, Daniel Serra, and a guy we both
An old
know.
friend.
Yeah, Eddie
Yes.
Cheever III, who raced in Euro NASCAR in the early 2010s, mid 2010s. And we have Crucial Motorsports. Paul Halton will again be joined by John Miller and Patrick Gallagher in the McLaren. So some confirmations, some clarifications how the driver lineups are going to be for the 2022 IMSA Series, because even after Daytona and even after Sebring, some teams still are looking who are going to be the full-time drivers, the endurance drivers, the fourth drivers. It's amazing what's going on there.
Yeah, the first two races always serve as two kind of a standalone events because they are two classics of the endurance racing scene. And then who exactly goes into the big chunk of the season, the central part of the season, that it's an evolving situation.
Yeah. Okay, NHRA, what do we have there?
Yeah, drag racing. You want to go straight?
Yes.
We go straight. There's the NHRA is back in action this weekend from Gainesville, Florida, and that's the main thing, the main news for us. Important, the Pro Stock motorcycle category is back in action. So you like drag racing, you find it amazing that they do 500 kilometers per hour in less than 400 meters. Okay, take a motorbike, put 400 horsepower on it, and do more than 200 miles per hour after a quarter mile. And keep it straight, if you can. So you see, Pro Stock motorbikes is a very interesting category. Plenty of great matchups. The category will be in action. They don't do the full schedule. They do a partial schedule together with Funny Car and Top Fuel. The category is back in action. Matt Smith is the reigning champion, actually back-to-back reigning champion, and in Florida it will be everyone against Matt Smith in the attempt to overthrow him. NHRA also published, we spoke about NHRA's tendency to allow you to race whatever you have in the garage. Okay, they published rules for the street legal category. So if you want, you go to nhra.com and you can find the rule book. If you are in America, you have a Camaro. You can, and it's past. It's from 2014 onwards. Now you have the rules. You can just, with a few safety enhancements, literally drive to the track, race, drive it back home. Wow. And man.
Yes, of course.
Why not?
There are some oval grassroots racing series too, where you can do that with the street legal cars on short tracks. I saw that too.
Wow. How do they come out of the weekend?
I think they have two cars with to go back home.
Yeah, one to go and one to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do it with rental cars.
Yep. Definitely not. But street legal, the NHRA makes a big effort in trying to take especially young persons away from illegal street races. They're very popular in the US. From illegal street races and take them to the track and race legally and safely, and that's very important. They are allowed with your street car. If you have a modern car like a Camaro or Challenger or whatever, you are allowed to go up to 9 seconds. So they give you a quickest possible time, and the game is to go as close as possible to that time, and of course win your matchup with a good reaction time. So you can't overspend, you can't do too much stuff to your car.
It's like a regularity based championship.
Yeah, just at 300 kilometers per hour.
Yes, but the idea is to not have a war of spending money.
Exactly, and I find it really good for the sport and good for having a big base around the country.
Yeah.
So this is it for NHRA on my side.
Perfect. I think we are up to 1 hour again. So I think this is it for the 4th episode of Europeans Watching American Racing. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you enjoyed it, please help us grow this project by subscribing on all the different platforms, liking the episodes, share it to your friends if you like it. Leave a comment on social media. Give us some questions. We're going to answer them 100% on the show. And you can follow us also on Twitter. I think there is going to be the main part. We're going to be active. We also do live updates during some races and stuff like that. So make sure to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, especially YouTube. We have the show, and also on all common podcast hosting services like Apple, Google, and Spotify and stuff like that. So thank you so much for joining us here today, and I wish you a pleasant day.
See you at the next one.